Testing, testing, testing. Ty, can you hear me? Welcome, everybody, to Shadow of Comics, Episode 2. I am your host, The Shadow, and this is my co-host, my partner in crime, Mr. Raven. How are you today? Welcome, everyone, to the Shadow of Comics podcast. My co-host today is Mr. Raven. How are you today, sir?
Shadow of Comics. I am good.
Hex, yeah. You can refer to me as the Shadow for this particular interview, or Daddy Shadow, whatever you prefer. How are you doing today, sir? Are you doing good?
I don't call anyone daddy, but
That's
I'm
okay.
pretty good. How about you?
Good, good. Had a great weekend. Got to enjoy some time with the family. So had a good 4th of July. I did, for our viewers out there, I did see James Gunn's Supergirl, which I don't know if this is we kind of combine these two. Raven, I know you didn't see it. Um, I give the movie maybe a 2 out of 5 at best, and there's really not much to talk about. It didn't increase the DC universe. The effects were really crappy at times. Lobo was a joke, probably just a waste of a character. The villain was useless. But Millie Alcock, that's your saying name, right, Raven? Millie Alcock,
Yeah,
she's
that's how you
great.
say it.
Yeah, she's great as Supergirl. But yeah, 2 out of 5 at best. Yeah, really not much to say, but we got a very interesting topic tonight. We are talking in kind of a continuation of our old uh, episode from a few weeks ago. We're going to be discussing Joel Schumacher's time on the Batman franchise. And for a little background, Raven, if you didn't know, the reason why this happened was after Tim Burton made Batman Returns, which is a really, really, really bad movie. Um, he was
Debatable, but okay.
well, not a great movie in my opinion, but the consensus was it was too dark for the kiddos, and they wanted to make a decision to make Batman more kid friendly, um, more light for kids. And Joel Schumacher was brought in to make the two movies we're going to be talking about tonight, Batman Forever, and because of its financial success, Batman and Robin. So let's kind of go to the big one. Do you want to talk about Batman Forever first? Kind of kick this thing off.
Yeah, let's do Batman Forever. I'll talk about my thoughts on Batman Forever first then. Okay, so Batman Forever has a great soundtrack. Kiss a
Okay.
Rose. We all love that song.
Kiss from a
Um,
Rose. Yeah, I'm talking.
Val Kilmer to me is one of the greatest castings in Batman history. Personally, I think he's the second greatest Batman ever, and I think he plays a great Bruce and a great Batman. I kind of, I wish he was given more to do in the movie per se, but it's whatever. Um, and then we have Nicole Kidman as Chase Gideon. Um, I think she's actually pretty good, great love interest. And yeah, so we got those castings. Who else we got? Oh, we got the same as Commissioner Gordon from the um, not Commissioner Gordon. We have the same Alfred, excuse me, from the Tim Burton films. Same with um why am I I'm having a brain. Okay. Yeah, same Robin from the both Schumacher films, which is, good because it's, carryover for cast. And I think overall Gotham looks phenomenal. I think it's a very comic booky Gotham. Like it's like arguably, in my opinion, the best looking Gotham, just because of all the colors and it feels like it's literally ripped from a 60s Batman comic, which yeah. I like both the gritty dark Gotham as well, besides Nolan's last two films. And then you have the, comic booky one, which is I think this actually captures Gotham really well. Um, in this movie we have the Riddler and Two-Face. I actually think I think the Riddler is a really good casting. Um, yeah, the Riddler's a really good casting, right? Uh, at times can be kind of over the top, but I think it works well. And we can get to like my favorite stuff in the movie would be I like his plan of like trying to destroy people's brain and stuff and the machine that he builds. And then Two-Face, he's to me he's probably the negative part of the film. I think he's way over the top. He doesn't really act like Two-Face. I would like to see like an origin story how he became Two-Face, you know? Um, that's like one of my major gripes. And to be honest with you, if you remove Two-Face from this film, you probably don't get nothing. I mean, the film might be better. And honestly, it doesn't change much. There is a Schumacher cut out there. I imagine. I hear that his performance is much more. It's not as goofy, not as over the top, not serious per se, but it's not as bad. To me, he's like the biggest issue with the film. Um, so yeah, and also in my rating, it would probably be at a 1 through 5. I'm giving you all my thoughts on this movie. It would probably be I would say a 3 out of 5 stars. So I think it's better than Batman Forever, Batman Returns. No, sorry, it's better than Batman and Robin, and better than Batman Returns as like, and probably the Batman too for me as my personal favorite Batman movies. Shadow, do you have any questions?
I was vomiting my mouth a little bit when you said this movie was better than the Batman a little bit, but wow. I respect your opinion. Um, do you have anything else to add before I give my thoughts on this flick?
I think
And
it's a well-made movie as well. I think and a lot of the deleted scenes would obviously that you can find them on YouTube if you don't know that I haven't seen them. And like specifically the Man Bat scene, no, not Man Bat,
right,
the what would you call it?
the
The the
the
actual bat,
dream,
I guess.
yeah, the dream
Yeah,
that
the dream
he's
bat. Yeah, and that's a very cool scene that I wish made the theatrical cut. There's some fan edits out there. I guess we can link it in the description. It's a really good fan edit of it, and a lot of deleted scenes put together, and some stuff added that didn't make the theatrical cut. And you guys can watch. I think it's a much better made movie. Actually, it actually helps the movie flow better too. Some of the stuff they did with it. I'm not really a fan of fan edits, but this one is done pretty well. Um,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, so I respect your opinion. I think that you make a lot of valid points. Um, but I'm gonna just give my honest opinion. I think Batman Forever is a really bad movie. It's a really, really badly. I disagree with your point that it's a well-made movie. I think that there are elements of it of a good movie. The casting is very well cast. The budget, it had $100 million budget, and just kind of before we go kind of into the nitty gritty on little old me's thoughts on the flick, the box office of this movie was out of $100 million budget, it grossed $336 million worldwide, and that's a pretty good take home. Very financially successful. But having said that, I think this is a movie that is perplexing to me because it's kind of like you have all these great things. You have Val Kilmer, who I think is great. He had just won an Oscar for, I believe, Tombstone as Doc Holliday. Great actor, great character actor. Joel Schumacher, I enjoyed his Lost Boys movies. I wouldn't say they're like it's a masterpiece, but it's a pretty good
and
movie.
Heat's a phenomenal movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it with him in it.
Which movie?
Heat,
Heat's a great movie. I love it. Robert De Niro. They're making a sequel. Can't wait for it. We should probably do that too. Um, but like to me, like again, it's a carryover from Batman Returns. This is the thing that irritates me a little bit is that this movie is essentially a reboot, except for Commissioner Gordon and Alfred. Everyone has been recast. It's a total restart. It's tonally different. It's completely different from Batman Returns, and for better and worse. So again, all these things that I've said had the movies going for it leaves me to think what went wrong with this movie because Batman Forever is a really, 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 really bad movie in my opinion. It's not quite as bad as Batman and Robin, which we'll get to in a minute, and it may be I mean, it's I didn't think it was possible, but it's actually worse than Batman Returns and Batman 89, which in my opinion are both really bad movies as well. But not like this.
You're wrong, but it's okay.
This it's not like this. This Batman Forever is a really, really dumb, over the top, cartoony, silly, campy, goofy movie. It's a movie that has performances that border on complete insanity. Everyone in the movie is like they're not in a movie playing a character. They're in a Saturday morning cartoon. And Val Kilmer, who's a great casting as Batman. I will never debate you on that. He's a great casting as Batman. The stuff that he has to do in the movie is nonsense. He at the opening scene, Alfred and him are just kind of like talking, and he goes, should I make you some food? I'm paraphrasing. I just watched this. He's like, should I make you some food, sir? And he's like, no, Alfred, I'll get drive through. It's like dog, just awful. Like, who wrote this? And you realize the reason why this movie sucks so bad as it does, it's because it was written by Akiva Goldsman. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
It was
What
written.
has wrote before actually going on that well? I know of him, but I don't know what has he wrote.
He wrote A Beautiful Mind, which I really enjoyed. That's a pretty under. You ever seen that movie with Russell Crowe, Jor-El?
Yes, I have.
Much, much, much better than this. You talked about before we get into the Schumacher cut, because I'm not gonna take forever. I hate this movie. I think it's terrible. I think it almost has nothing good about it. In some ways, it's worse than Batman and Robin. And the more I talk about it, it might be my least favorite Batman movie ever. Because of the fact that it does have a lot more going for it than Batman and Robin, in my opinion. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it still fails. It just fails so astronomically as a movie. Not just as a Batman movie, it fails as a film. And Jim Carrey as the Riddler, who you think would be inspired casting, is reduced to this like homoerotic. And again, I don't have any issues if you're gay, straight, whatever. You like what you like, but him and Two Face, we've talked about this. Are clearly there's some tension between the two of them, if you know what I mean. They're feeling each other, and that's just nonsense. His plan to indoctrinate people from Gotham is somehow like a really bad Saturday morning cartoon. Um, Tommy Lee
Wait,
Jones is
but
too.
hold on. This is where I gotta push back. You keep saying that like the Riddler is goofy and he's a joke. That's who the Riddler character is. Like you for some reason you think that like so I know you like the Batman, right? Like, let's break this down. And that version of Riddler, while he's more serious and not over the top and stuff, but that's not who the Riddler is. I mean, yeah, there's a version of that, I guess, yeah. But relatively, if you read comics, that version of Riddler is, relative to what he's supposed to be. So I don't understand this idea of like, oh, it's too goofy. I would say Two-Face is to me was the mischaracterization. Like that's where I have a problem with because that again, that's not really who Two-Face is.
Okay.
Two-Face isn't supposed to be over the top, joking and like that feels like it just feels like he kind of like he was just told to act over the top, not because that's what how he thought he should portray the character.
See, to me, I don't agree with that at all because during this time, and I actually hold on, let me check something real quick because there was another Batman uh, series that came out. Another Batman, actually, yeah. So Batman Forever came out in 1995. Batman the Animated Series came out in 1992. I'm looking at this right now, and that show, outside of the Snyder films and the live action ones, the animated series to me is the gold standard of what Batman would, could, and should be. It's enjoyable for all ages. It takes
Wait,
the
that
characters seriously. Hold on, let me finish my thought here. Is that series has an adaptation of the Riddler, and I would really encourage you to watch that episode. Not just you, but any of the listeners out there tonight. I'm going to look it up real quick while I'm talking real quick here. It's called. 1 second here. Bear with me for 1 second, folks. It's called "If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?" And it kind of covers Riddler in a very creepy jigsaw way, and it nails him of this guy that was this failure, kind of what they try to do in this movie, but they fail astronomically, in my opinion, where he's this guy that gets corrupted and he goes out for revenge against his boss. And if you, I don't know if you remember the game, he puts Batman and Robin and the boss in, and it's just a perfect episode. This Riddler is he's got like a man crush on Bruce Wayne, which is dumb. Uh, so this Riddler, complete failure to me. So you got one half of the
All
villains that
right.
completely sucks. Um,
All right,
Real quick,
before you move on to Two-Face, this is where I have an issue. You keep saying, well, the animated series. While I love the animated series, there's like I said, there's comic adaptations of the Riddler, excuse me, of acting that way. You act like that doesn't exist, and that you just that Jim Carrey and Joel Schumacher and Olivia Goldman, or however you say his name,
Akiva
they
Goldsman.
yeah, Kiva Goldman.
Yeah.
That's just they just did it for no reason. No, that's actually happened. Like that's how he is in a lot of comics.
And my point is, there was a comic where in a Superman comic where Lois Lane changed her skin color. Just because it's in the comic doesn't necessarily mean it translates into film very well. But again, we and I we've
But
talked at length. I love the Paul Dano Riddler. I love the animated series Riddler. I love the Arkham
but that's not
City
the
Riddler.
Riddler. That
But
is
it
not
is
the
though.
Riddler.
This is not the.
No,
I would
no, but
argue
it's
this
not.
isn't the Riddler. This Jim Carrey nonsense. This cartoon character. This caricature of the Riddler is not the Riddler at all.
No, you for some reason you think the Riddlers are meant to be this methodical, serious, not over the top character, and that's just not who the Riddler is.
You're so
You're
you're.
you're asking for
Go ahead.
a different villain.
But let me ask you, so before we move on to Two-Face, because we got a little bit of time here, and I think we're going to agree more on Batman and Robin. We're going to line up there. But to challenge you on this, what version of the Riddler do you find more interesting, in the animated series? And I'm assuming you've seen that episode. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Which that to me, like he played like with the when he plays with the rings. I don't know if you remember that scene. Like that always stuck with me, where he's just sitting there and he's finally turned into the Riddler. It's, for those of you guys who haven't watched, it's a brilliant episode. Probably my favorite, only second to Heart of Ice, which again, it's a much better Mr. Freeze episode, which tells how Mr. Freeze became Mr. Freeze. But in this episode, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? There's a scene in it where Edward Nigma, who is Edward Nigma, not this Jim Carrey trash, he gets fired. He comes back as the Riddler, and he's taunting his boss with these rings about having to get them off, get them to break apart, I should say. And it's just, to me, it always is, like, even as a kid, as an adult, it's a really creepy moment, and it doesn't require a lot to let you know that this guy's really smart and he's gone to the dark side, and that's all you need. And again, they try to do that in this, but his outfit is terrible. He's acting so over the top. He has terrible. Everyone in this movie has terrible lines. And again, maybe the Schumacher cut fixes all of that. I know one thing. I think we both agree on hashtag release the air cut. Join us for the trending event next month. We need to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad, see the real Joker, see the real ending. But as far as this movie, as far as the Riddler, again, Riddler, total miss for me. Chris O'Donnell as Robin, total miss for me. He looks like a 30-year-old man pretending to be a teenager. But yeah, as far as like, to be honest with you, like, if by that logic of, well, it's over the top in the comics, therefore it's not good if it's more serious in the movies. By that logic, Heath Ledger's Joker is a bad Joker, but he's not. He's one of the best.
Actually, hold on. If we're being honest here, there is a version of Heath Ledger's Joker, but relatively speaking, like more or less of how much of that version of Joker has been adapted. If we're being honest, or something like Leto's Joker or like Jack Nichol's Joker is more in line to what we should expect from Joker, in terms of like what's been more adapted in the comics. So I would argue actually Heath Ledger to some extent isn't really an accurate Joker, like in terms of like compared to like the other two. that we've gotten live action. But again, doing a good performance doesn't always mean comic accurate, obviously.
And I agree with you, but in my opinion, these movies, Batman Forever and especially Batman and Robin, they don't have either of those things. They don't have comic accuracy, nor do they have good performances. But again, you and I, we're just going back and forth with the Riddler. I think it sucks. You think it's fine. Let's go on to Two-Face, who, in my opinion, is the festering herpes sore on the lip of this movie. That is just, you know, who he reminded me of. I don't know, Raven, if you ever had this moment. You ever have that friend that you hang out with the group, and everyone else is kind of naturally vibing, everyone's having a good time, and he's just the most awkward, goofy piece of idiot trash moron. Every time he says something, you just want to strangle him. That's Two-Face in this movie. He he is a complete joke for pretty much the minute you meet him. He has this really over the top laugh. There's maybe one scene that I can deal with him, in my opinion, and it's the scene where uh at the very end with the coins, with how, by the way, Batman killed is in this movie too, so I'm tired of hearing about, oh, but you know, Batflick killed, therefore it's bad. Shut up, Batman kills in all these movies. But he flips the coin, and you know that's like kind of one of the only moments. And to your point, and what you'd say is a positive, where he says, I'm not Batman." But Val Kilmer says, "I'm not Batman because I want to be. I do it now because I choose to be." To me, that moment really sticks with you. Now, for the rest of the movie, Jim Carrey comes across like a wingman at a you know a drunken bar in Lowell at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to pick up the girls, and they look at him and go, "Nah, not this guy." But there's just again, like, if you put aside the bad villains, if you put aside the fact this movie, Jurassic Park came out, guys. Jurassic Park came out 3 years before this movie. It it looks like a bad video game, a bad computer
I
generated
think it
game at
actually looks
times.
very beautiful, especially Gotham.
And there's a lot of like homoerotic stuff in it, not just between the villains, but the bat suit has nipples on it. There's a one of the worst scenes probably in film history is the scene where you know, Dr. Chase Meridian wants Batman to come to the rooftop, and she's trying to get you guys can put that together. She wants him to make her, you know, whatever. But she brings him to the top of the roof, and it's just like, oh, puts her hands all over the suit, and it's just like, I want to know about the man behind the bat. And she's like, what makes the suit irresistible? What makes a man in a suit so irresistible? And he's like, it's the car, right? Chicks dig the car. And then Commissioner Gordon comes up in his pajamas. He comes up in his pajamas and is like, oh, what's going on up here? I'm the ultimate cockblock. And then Batman, you know, jumps into the Batmobile and takes care of business by himself. But honestly, man, like, I want to move on to Batman and Robin because, like, look at, maybe the Schumacher cut fixes all of these issues. I have watched Kevin Smith's review of seeing it, and he said it's they could release it in the form that's in. But having said that, I mean, all in all, there's really nothing much to say, man. It's a really bad movie, in my opinion. And if you guys like it, I encourage you. This is the thing. The point of this show I want to have is healthy debates. If you like Tim Burton's Batman movies, great. If you like Schumacher's movies, great. I don't. I don't think they're good movies. I don't think they're good
It's
Batman
okay to have
movies.
bad taste, though.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to Batman and Robin real quick. But honestly, this movie's a 0 out of 5 for me. Um, there's like, there's just nothing about it I enjoy, you know. And I did rewatch it for the sake of this review. I did not watch Batman and Robin because I've seen it before, but I did rewatch Batman Forever, um, over an app of this free movie app that I have, and it's just a bad movie, guys. Like, stay away from it. Watch Zack Snyder's Batman. Watch Christopher Nolan's Batman. Watch I don't know. Watch Paint Dry. It's a bad movie, but anyhow. Any more thoughts on Batman Forever before we move on to Batman and Robin?
Just your rating.
0 out of 5.
That's
Zero.
crazy.
Zero. There's nothing redeeming in this movie. This is the embodiment of a Hollywood dud, in
Well, I
my
mean,
opinion.
Gotham and Val Kilmer alone carry this movie to a 2 or 3. So
That's your opinion. Again, let's talk about now the double whammy, if for lack of a better term here. Batman and Robin. Um, let's be honest, Batman and Robin is one of the worst movies of all time. I don't think you and I would disagree too strongly on it. It's got bad lines, much like this is. It's got even worse. I don't know about worse, but it's got just as bad of lines as Batman
You
Forever.
need to chill out.
You're going to get iced. Which, by the way, let's talk about the cast real quick. You talk about again George Clooney as Batman. At the time, you think to yourself, "Wow, George Clooney as Batman. That seems great. That seems
He's
amazing."
actually a pretty good Bruce Wayne. I'll give him that.
Until he starts talking, I would say he's a pretty good Bruce Wayne. He looks like Bruce Wayne. Um, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and I hope I don't get hate in the comments for this, but he's not a bad choice. And if you think about it as Mr. Freeze, he's not. But unfortunately, what he's given to do is pretty terrible. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Again, back to my point about good castings. These castings are fine, are fantastic in these movies. It's just the movies themselves are really, really, really bad. Like among the worst movies of all time. So the plot of this movie, does the plot even really matter, Raven? Like, does it even matter?
Yeah, I think there's a well, yes and no, because like there's a plot, but there's just a lot of things that just why are they in the movie? Like Bane, you remove Bane, it doesn't like I forgot who plays him.
He's a
But
wrestler. You can share your point. I'll find out who played Bane in Batman for Batman and Robin.
yeah, Bane, he actually just is like useless, like and we've had a solid Bane adaptation in Nolan's Batman. Say what you want about The Dark Knight Rises, but I think he's like the highlight of that movie, ironically. Um, and it's like you kind of it's a joke, right? And I know everything here is a joke, but I don't mind campy, jokey cape shit to some extent, but it gets to a point where it's over, it's too much.
Oh,
And
100%.
here Bane is too much in my opinion. There's no reason he'd be in the movie. But like some of the other casting, Poison Ivy, phenomenal casting. I forgot what's her name?
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, Uma Thurman. She's a great casting. I like Robin, Chris O'Donnell, so fine with that. Um, who else? Who else am I forgetting? Alfred, same thing, good casting. I don't mind George Clooney. I think I don't my more so issue is with the suits. Like I think the suits don't do any of the characters justice. Besides maybe Poison Ivy actually. I think Bane actually I guess looks all right. I mean,
Well, the reason why is
especially
he's
like the
actually played by a real life strongman. I actually found his name. It's called Robert Swenson, and he passed away in 1997. It says here August 18th. So rest in peace. Rest in peace. That sucks. Um, but yeah, back to your point, man. Like this movie killed Batman for like almost like 10
so
years.
I actually
How do you
um
kill? Can I ask you a serious question for you? How do you make a movie that's so bad it kills Batman? How do you do that? You know what I mean? Raven, you still there, sir?
yeah, no, listen, when
Oh,
you
okay, I'm
cook.
not sure.
Um, I don't know, to be honest with you. I I can't believe I'm saying this. I kind of like Batman and Robin, like if I was like drunk all the time. Like I could watch it when if I'm just drunk for a while. It's like a bad movie that's kind of fun, right? It's kind of like funny, like the Arnold stuff, pretty funny. There's some quotable lines in there. Um, you know, the only scene that I find is like completely ridiculous is where they're playing hockey with the diamond in the beginning of the movie. I'm like, what is this? And then it's not flying where they look like they're flying with Robin and Batman, and then he gets frozen. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't know. The movie's just like
Yeah,
all over the place.
yeah. I
Besides
mean,
the casting, I think the only thing else this movie does well is again Gotham. It looks beautiful. It's a comic booky Gotham. Um, you know, I think it's arguably it might be the best Gotham. Again, it's between that Batman Forever, and then if I want to take like one of the gritty ones, I'd probably say either Begins or the Batman. Even though the Batman has it, I have my issues with that film, but Gotham is not one of them. Yeah. Oh, and the soundtrack's pretty good on this. Um, Batman and Robin as well.
fun fact before we because we have to wrap things up in a couple minutes, folks. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. It's like, share, comment, and subscribe. Um, just to kind of wrap things up a little bit, just kind of to your point. I mean, little Easter egg before I kind of before we wrap this up. Zack Snyder's actually used one of the soundtracks, I believe, in Watchmen. I think the end is the beginning, or the beginning is the end, which is in Batman and Robin, which he used for his Watchmen movie. Which, let's face it, Watchmen's 100 million times better than this. But um, yeah, I mean, to your point, there's really like I think Gotham looks like shit. I think that um, you're
Crazy.
so much.
You just don't like anything comic booky.
I like good
You like
movies.
just straight. No, you like no, but again, that has nothing to do with Gotham. Gotham looks beautiful, and that's what Gotham. Gotham can either be gritty and dark and like in the ghetto, like it looks like it's in the ghetto. It's um, like places where you wouldn't really want to live. But it has the comic booky, colorful, neon look. Like especially if you're gonna do a goofy Batman, you kind of want goofy city, goofy characters, kind of to fit in that world. Yeah.
I mean, I guess. Honestly, folks, we're just gonna again, Raven. What's your final score for Batman and Robin? All in all,
One if I'm not drunk, and then two if I am drunk. Out of
you're
five,
sober. You gotta go through. You gotta go through life sober, folks. What's your sober score?
a one.
Okay, you got
But I
one.
mean, two, maybe two on a good day, even without drinking.
I gotta say, guys, I rewatched. I didn't. I've watched this movie like a couple of months ago. Um, I need to go to like therapy after rewatching all these old Batman movies. They're so crappy. Thank God we got the Nolan verse coming up next. For those of you guys, which our next topic, we are talking about the man, the goat, the daddy, Christopher Nolan. The man, hey, he's making the Odyssey this week. That's also good for him. For those of you guys, we're recording this at 7/13, July 13th. Um, yeah, this movie sucks. It's heinous. There's like nothing good about it. It's maybe I don't know, maybe a modest improvement over Batman and Forever.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think Batman Forever clears. I think Batman and Robin, like for me, is like arguably the worst CBM ever. I think Forever is not like anywhere near the greatest, but it's a solid DC Batman movie.
It's it's honestly it's like being stabbed in the gut or shot in the back. Like which one's better? Um, honestly, like I'm gonna have to give it another zero, guys. I mean, 0 out of 5 for both of these flicks. Um, I mean, Raven, you have changed my opinion on a couple of things about Forever, so maybe I go to a point 0.5 instead of a zero. Maybe a point 0.5 I'll give it. So, but again, these are really, really shitty movies. I've tried to refrain from swearing. These are shitty, badly made films, and they killed Batman. They killed The Dark Knight. How bad of a movie do you have to be to kill Batman for almost 10 years until Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan saved Batman forever? And next week, I cannot
Oh,
wait.
we forgot Batgirl. We forgot to talk about Batgirl.
The movie that doesn't exist. Oh yeah, I forgot Alicia Silverstone. Oh, I forgot about her. She's in this movie
I
too.
Yeah, I think she's a solid casting. I think I even like her suit actually. She looks the part.
Suit me up, Uncle Alfred. Again,
Yeah.
every person in this movie badly, well cast, bad execution. So again, but we're gonna wrap this up, guys. So tell us in the comments, what do you think about Batman Forever and Batman Returns, or I should say, all of them, the Nolan movies, the Burton movies. Rank them for us. Like, share, comment, subscribe. So, Raven, before we sign off, pals, you got any last minute things or any last minute plugs you want to do?
Um, Follow me at Raven Super RTA on Twitter. Follow the channel and
Oh.
fire James Gunn. He needs to be off DC. Um,
Jesus.
you know, I I've seen part of Supergirl and I couldn't finish it. I tried watching it on a bootleg website and it
Clears
just
all these
wasn't for
movies.
me.
It clears all these
Nope.
movies. But follow me, guys, at the Shadow of Comics. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out our last week's episode, or actually it would have been 3 weeks ago's episode where we reviewed the Tim Burton Batman movies. Raven, you are the best of the co-hosts. I cannot wait to discuss actual quality films next week. Uh, This is the Shadow of Comics. Like one more time, one more time. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you don't know, the Shadow knows. Good night.